Okay, so today we're going to work on this piece over here that is being used for reference in the Polycount Environment Art Challenge for November to December 2018. The first thing we're going to do is try to get some of the blockouts, try to get an estimate on proportions, how everything is going to relate to our character, and that is sort of going to be our control for helping to determine size and also adjust positions of the picture as necessary because not I don't think everything is going to exactly line up or be to scale. So this is going to be one of those things that you kind of use the reference more just to get the general idea. But as we go on, and especially getting into the 3D aspect of this, we'll probably have to go and tweak our size, proportions, and everything just to make sure they really fit well with the character model. For the character model, probably just use the default Unreal mannequin for the third person shooter startup, just to get that as a reference. But in the meantime, let's start blocking some of this out. So I'm going to grab some of these guides over here and just quickly get this all nice and set up over here, and grab the do a rectangle lasso. Make sure we're gonna copy and paste over here, and you can probably clear guides for right now. So I'm going to grab her. I'm going to move her. First place is in the doorway over here. Then I'm going to just do a multiply over here, and you can try and get an idea as to how that is. Now, I am going to shrink this slightly because there is a little bit of perspective distortion, um, meaning that she is in the original part where she's over here. She's closer a little bit more to the foreground, whereas this more in the background. So, you know, just the general premise of objects, maybe objects that are further away from you are going to appear smaller. And here, let me just get this going over here. And say maybe about, I don't know, this height or so. I'm just gonna apply that and zoom in a little bit. So the first thing to consider is figuring out where this door begins and ends. Um, so it's easy to kind of get this part over here, but it looks sort of like we have a rod over here and things hanging down. It looks like there's some uh, I don't want to say frame because I don't think the store really has a frame, or maybe it does very subtle over here. Um, but we want to make sure that it's going to be like a typical doorway or so, and most doors for entryway is like going to be at least about something like what, maybe 8 feet tall or so. Um, so most women are generally about 7.5 heads tall, um, based off of general proportions. So let's see. So she can't be any taller than. We can't have her like at 8 feet or 7 feet, but let's say something maybe something a little bit shorter over here. Just has to be very careful because then we have the doghouse over here, and it needs to be reasonably high. So let's also grab the dog over here. In fact, what I should have done is probably get both of these over here. It's easy enough to drag them out. So take that. So multiply over here, or maybe darken. So let's see. The dog over here obviously is not gonna really fit in there, so both these should be smaller. And let's see, something potentially like this. So I think that'll work okay. Door might be a little bit wide. I'm going to bring back this picture over here, woman. And okay, so that's pretty much the same size or so. Now I'm going to move her up right around over here. Actually, I'm going to delete that and just take our duplicate layer and put somewhere up over here. So at the very least, we know that, that door is going to be a little bit higher. So it does seem like this might be here. Let's see. Yeah, so maybe something like that. I know that door is probably going to seem a little bit shorter. I mean, it might fit her okay, but say for a male of average height, it might be like just about banging his head against the top. So it might need to be a little bit smaller. Like say that. Let me go back down over here. And do the same. Maybe over here. The only thing is you want to make sure that like these windows aren't too high. So it's kind of don't apply. I want to make sure everything looks okay. And like I said, some of these may wind up coming down. So this window may actually come down to be a bit more level with these windows over here. The doghouse itself might wind up a little bit smaller. So, and that's another thing. I can start erasing a few of these. Just a little bit to move this. I got a little bit of her arm taken out there, so okay. All right, so that generally helps. Um, all right, so that generally helps us with trying to figure out our proportions. Let's just zoom out over here. So yeah, works a little bit better. Like I said, doghouse might be a little bit smaller than what we actually see here. A few things we need to consider um, when doing this. So let's go take a look at other points of interest. I think we have the doors kind of figured out. But other things you might want to consider are how big. So we have this reference over here, the hand truck. So you might want to move, yeah, bring her down. Actually, duplicate this. Yes. Okay, so duplicate her and bring her a little bit close over here. So that hand truck is going to be a little, seems a little bit big. So we're going to scale, whoops, scale size a little bit. And I need to make sure that this is correct. And I know she's just going to be like just a tad larger. So that should be about correct for size of a hand truck um, coming up on her. And we can see what else. What else is a good point? So, okay, we can start drawing some. I think we can start drawing some reference lines, and I'm going to go do this over here and get my Wacom stylus and start trying to figure out the best to do this. So I'm trying to just use like a color like red, something that's gonna stick out a bit. Um, and so just kind of figure out over here. So something like that comes up to her chest. Um, the doghouse, that looks like it should be where that is. It's kind of coming up right around to the midsection over here. So let's say the doghouse comes up maybe, I don't know, halfway or so, or like maybe like right around the abdomen belly button or so. Um, we have these pieces of wood sticking out of the water. Need to make sure those are correct. Probably based off of what I can see over here. So we have this here. I'd probably place her like right about chest level or so. I know this one is a little high. Again, that's a little bit closer to the foreground, but as you can see that these aren't exactly proportioned correctly, but this, if I had to go over here, it'd probably come intersect right around here. So what we're really keeping an eye on over here is that her head is going to be above, especially probably even shoulders as well. So everything up like around the breast and above is probably going to be up above this point on all these wood piles sticking out over here. And so that kind of helps identify, like, get an idea of the height for this, where our limitations are height wise. Um, we have a few things. So we have the ladders over here, and at least for a ladder is probably going to be about as wide as a person's body, maybe a little bit wider or so. Um, but it's not going to be too different. So let's say if I go and create a new layer, whoops, that's duplicate. But if I go and create a new layer over here and just quickly grab this over here, I don't need to worry too much about the rungs. You just want to grab this over here and yeah, so she would be that's about right or so. Yeah, that's about right. Um, in terms of size. Now, how far she is to the ground, it looks like we're probably about a human size from top of the head to the water, maybe a little bit more. So here, I'm gonna go and take another person, take another duplicate over here, and grab and place her. So if the ladder is making contact with the water surface over here, place her up there, and because she's a little bit closer now into the foreground, I grab this, make sure that is correct, and I don't want to make her too tall, of course. Um, so something probably close to that. Um, Now we got to sort of try and figure out how tall she should be relative to these boats. Because that's another thing we're gonna have to consider, that she'll be, person can sit in one of these, and that'll help get another idea as to how big we should be scaling these. Um, I hit enter on that. Duplicate. Yes. Okay, so we're going to use the ladder as a proportion control over here. We know because this is a little bit further, she should be a little bit taller here. And maybe even a little bit taller, because even though I think she's a little bit, yeah, this over here is actually closer into the foreground, so something like this. Um, then the next thing here, we're going to duplicate this layer again over here, and just go on the dock, so to speak. So want to see what she would look like over here, and my guess is going to be just a little bit taller. It's kind of based off of this. So here, I'm going to draw out a guide over here, and then going to here. Into okay, so for this over here, I need to make sure that we've got this correct. So I'm going to grab here, then go here, here, and here. And that kind of gives us an idea of where this should be. So that goes up. I'm going to make this say here. So now okay, so that tells us perspective is a little bit off. Should be okay. And that works because this is, again, this will probably be a little bit higher. You see some of these sticking out. They're not exactly proportionate to one another. So say the height of this one is closer to maybe the height over here or here. And we should be pretty good over here. Just to get an idea of proportionally like this, the thickness and everything should be approximate, maybe a little bit smaller than her body or so. Not too much, but just enough so she could, like, say, wrap her arms around it. Um, then, of course, I think this is correctly proportioned. This life preserver over here. Um, that should be correct to the waist. So that's about the size it needs to be. If I were to get an idea of height to length, so I'm going to grab this over here. So let's say that's the diameter. I'm going to grab this. And let's see, this is probably the closest. So yeah, that's probably about right. Because it's just a little bit bigger over here. So let's say if I put this to her foot that's coming up, just maybe a little bit short of the pelvis, and if I measure it against this one, yeah, I'd probably put it closer to here, just maybe a little bit larger. Say half, maybe about half a person, half her height. I think that'll work. And let's see if there's anything else over here in terms of any kind of major for height. I guess we can use this over here as another reference. Go grab one of these over here. Actually, grab. Pardon me. All right, grab this reference over here. Place her at the top. I know it might be a little bit. And that will kind of give an idea as to like how big or how high everything is up there. Here we go. Duplicate. And again, we'll just this right up over here. And so it looks like, I mean, she might be like a little bit shorter. Not too much. Just kind of move her out over there. I think that's pretty good. I think the only other thing I'd want to do is just grab this over here, a new layer, and yeah, just that's due to the guide lock, so I gotta clear the guides. Okay, and so that's where the floor kind of, at least for the top, kind of goes. So it's a little, I know that seems a little strange over here because I turn that off. I know you have this piece of the door frame over here, so you'd actually not, I don't know if that was just an error or what have you. So we'll have to be careful when building this part of the deck. Make sure that this comes over here, that this will be kind of flush. Yeah, because that's the other thing. It kind of goes through this window right over here. And I know the interior doesn't necessarily have two floors. The interior is actually something like this over here. So if we look at how this is structured, okay, we get a bit better idea of like where the door is. So it looks like those are more some kind of vent or so, or just exterior light or what have you. This over here, let me take a look at this larger portal port window. Then you have this. It's implied that there's a balcony ladder over here. So this looks pretty single floor. It doesn't look like there would be a second, like a second floor in here. So it's just kind of, I don't know, little weird cobbled together. So person, you go up on this ladder over here to reach the balcony, and then you have floor with two lawn chairs or what have you over here, fenced in over here to prevent anyone from falling. And it looks like these are two floodlights or so. But yeah, that's kind of sort of how this is figured out. So it looks like this is probably, yeah, so this might actually be a little bit higher. again, it's not too much of a problem to simply adjust this in 3D. So what I might do is go back over here, grab this layer. Should probably name these. So here, I'm gonna go grab this as a green layer, and I'm just gonna kind of draw a very crude circle over here. All right, so we got that circled, and that's going to be in green. So we're going to move this up, and I've kind of done that. I'm going to grab, actually, all right, I got this lassoed over here. And I am going to basically let's duplicate this over here. Grab this. Try and figure out where the new floor should be for our height. Grab this right now. And let's see, if I move this, and that looks, yeah, that looks a bit better over here. So there should be, yeah, this will go over here, over here. I think that will space better when we actually start doing this. So that's kind of all there is to it, really. I don't really have much else. I think the only other thing might be is to just sort of figure out the width of the dock. So here, we can kind of do that real quick as well. Figure out how many people would be standing out in between this and try to figure out the width over here. I figure that when we get that over here, we'll be able to, the ladder will probably mark like the midpoint, or maybe like right around here or so. So twice as many people that stand this way will stand over here. And then, you know, it'll probably be like 3 or 4 times many this length over here, because we still have that back portion to take into account as well. So here, I'm going to grab, and grab her again. Make sure we got everything. Actually, I won't use the dog this time, just her. multiply. Is it darken? There we go. I know it might be a little difficult to see her. So we'll just we'll go and erase. So let's see. 1. Wait a minute, that's not there we go. Okay, so that looks like about 7. Yeah, we'll say approximately 7 or so, 6 to 7 people can fit on here, going length widthwise. So I think that'll be okay. So I think we're pretty good in terms of having helped figure out about where everyone is on this. So next part is probably just start doing the 3D work. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.